Alright guys, so in an earlier video we showed you how to route the wires from your head unit through the dash, down the center console, and then over here to the driver side to install your plug and play wiring with your plug and play amps. In this particular setup we're going to be putting the ReCurve or our sound processor on the passenger side, so we're actually going to split the signal. So what we're going to do is, I'll start with this side, we're going to take the connectors from the plug and play harness with the black connectors, and they're coming over to this side. We're going to route them the same way underneath, hide them under the carpet, put them here, and we'll use them to plug into the plug and play amplifiers. On the opposite side, we're going to take the blue connectors, we're going to route them to the passenger side of the vehicle along with the yellow and the blue wire. I think you can see that. So we're going to take these, route these this way under the carpet, route these this way under this carpet. Here you can see the blue wire that Hector already ran. It's running here under the carpet, under the center console, and then over to the passenger side. In addition to this blue wire, you're going to need this black wire with the terminal ring, or the ring terminal attached. The ring terminal is going to ground to the same location as your amps on the driver side. So we're going to extend this to the opposite side. In addition, as part of your ReCurve plug and play kit, you'll get a 12-foot set of RCA cables, and it'll be 6 channels, so you'll have a front, rear, and subwoofer output. And again, this is going to run the same way, underneath the carpet, under the center console to the opposite side. Hector's going to go ahead and jump in and get that connected, and then I'll show you how it's all wired in. Another note I'd like to mention is make sure that wherever you route your wiring that you look for any moving parts. For instance, the shifter here, make sure that nothing there is going to rub up against the wires and cause any problems for you later on. Alright, so just like before, he's going to reach under the carpet. Alright, so Hector's going to feed that ring terminal down from the top because we want it to be on the driver's side so we can ground it to the same location as the amplifiers. I think you can see that in the video, but he routed it towards that front hole where the seatbelt harness is. Alright, so here you can see Hector's pulling the RCA cable down through the carpet. Alright, I wanted to give you guys a quick view of what it's looking like. He ran the RCA cables. He's got them back here. We're going to put these towards the back of the amplifier rack. We'll show you that in a second. Power cable is going to go into the amp rack. Then over here, we've got our black and blue wire that's running to the opposite side of the vehicle. And then here we've got the black output wires. We've got the green, purple, gray, white. Alright, so let's go over to the other side of the vehicle. Alright guys, so to summarize on the passenger side, here you can see the blue wire that Hector ran earlier. Here's the ground wire that he just ran from, again, from the driver's side. This is coming from the driver's side as well. And then the RCA cable's coming from the driver's side as well. Alright, we have to install one more cable, and that is the bass control knob coming from the ReCurve. And in this particular install, we're going to be putting the ReCurve knob in the center console. Alright guys, wanted to show you what the bass knob is going to look like. Here you can see we mounted the ReCurve bass knob here in the center console. What we did is we removed it from its protective case. Then we drilled a hole through here, put the bolt on this side, and now we've got the bass knob in a great spot. Alright, so in this next part of the video, we're going to show you how to lift up the carpet so we can ground our amplifiers. Now we're going to be removing the door sill and then the kick panel. But I did want to mention, in another video we show you how to remove the seat. It takes maybe 5 minutes, but really important, per the video, make sure when you're plugging or unplugging your seats, the harnesses for the seats, that the battery is disconnected at that time.
So you just want to get your fingers in from the inside and pull towards you. Just pops right off. Okay, so first you want to remove this. You actually just grab it and pull it towards you, and that will expose this. You just unscrew that, and now the kick panel, I like to pull from the bottom and scoot it out like that.
Alright, so here you can see we pulled up the carpet. I'm going to zoom in. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove this here. Alright, so we remove this 10mm bolt. I'm going to get some sandpaper, strip away that paint. Alright, so after I stripped away the paint and I'm ready to ground, I pulled my 2 grounds through and also the ground that's running over to my recurve. So then, now I've got 4 grounds going into this connection here. So I'm going to take my stock first, recurve second, 4-channel third, and then the subwoofer amp fourth. Get that started. Lay these out as flat as possible. And I'm going to push down on this while I tighten it up. I don't know if you can see that or not. I'm pushing down on this. I'm going to tighten this up, make sure it's really nice and tight. We don't want to strip it. There we go. That keeps them from spinning. I've got a good ground. They're all nice and tight. Now the carpet's ready to go back into place. Take this, slide this forward here. Alright, so next I'm going to connect my main power wire running to the battery. There's another video to show you how to get this wire in here. Okay, I'm going to remove this cover for now. I left a little bit of extra down under here. Alright, then I'm going to take my 4mm Allen and loosen this up. Alright, so just like when we were preparing the amps. Okay, I'm going to take this and twist it. Okay. Wiggle it around, turn, wiggle it, keep on wiggling until it won't turn anymore. Alright, we're good. Slide this back down, shouldn't see any copper, and I can put my cover back on now. Go ahead and snap it into place. Alright, so next I'm going to insert my input wires. I'm going to take these here, you'll hear them click. Okay, we've got the subwoofer in, we're going to do the same for the 4-channel. Alright. Then take the RCAs we ran earlier, and what's really cool about these RCAs, I'm not sure if you can see this in the video, it's got FRS. So we know this is for the front speakers, this is for the rear, and this goes to the subwoofer. Go ahead and plug these in, red to red, and here on your here on your 4-channel amp, if you look here, it'll tell you, it says front and rear. So I'm going to take my front connection, plug it in here. Red again to red. Then again, then this is the last set left over is going to be our rear. Plug that in. And then we're going to go ahead and hide these, and we'll worry about cleaning it up once we're done bolting everything in. So we're going to take the Allen wrench that came with our amplifiers. We're going to loosen these in the middle here. This is our remote in between the positive and negative. Then I'm going to take this wire, cut it here, strip some wire away, and then make a jumper over here. Alright, so I stripped some wire here and here. I'm going to tie these together. Alright, go ahead and tighten that down. Measure here. Connect it into here. Alright, so I've made my... Again, this is the remote coming from the recurve. It's coming over to this 4-channel. Then I've made a jumper over to the subwoofer amp. And this is what tells your subwoofers to turn on. I'm sorry, this is what tells your amplifiers to turn on. Next, I'm going to connect my subwoofer wire. This is my wire that's running back to my subwoofer. Go ahead and loosen that up. Alright, you're going to want to double check, but this side here closest to the power is your positive. Connect that into my positive and tighten it down. Alright, same thing with my negative, twist it. Same thing, give it a wiggle, twist it, wiggle, twist. I'm going to double check my red. Alright, and make sure there's no copper sticking out of here. You don't want these two touching or else you're going to have problems later on. I'm not going to connect these into my 4-channel amp until after we're done with the tuning process. So I'm going to go ahead and leave these out of the way. I'll slide this back down out of the way. Alright, let's jump over to the recurve side. Alright, so here, just like the plug-and-play amps, we're going to use an amp rack. Alright guys, so a little more information on the amp rack and the modifications that I made. Alright, first off, here you can see that I added one small hole here. Then I made a larger hole here for the RCAs, and then here I made 2 more holes for the wires coming into here. Now these holes here, I think you can see them, these are the stock bolt or the stock holes that are already in the amp rack. You can see this hole here, so just line these 2 up. Let me flip it over for you. Here you see the stock hole that came in the amp rack. Here are the 2 bolts, the flange nuts, tighten it up. Alright, and you want to be sure this is off center a little bit towards the left. That way the seat track, as it's moving back and forth, it doesn't hit anything or run into any of the wires or into the recurve. Alright guys, so let me go over the wiring here to avoid any confusion. Okay, so again, this is the wire coming from the plug and play harness. We taped all these together so we wouldn't get confused. But here we've got a yellow and a blue wire. These over here are the signal wires that are going to go into the recurve. They're going to go in here on this side. The blue and the yellow are actually going to connect to this side. Let me straighten this out before there's any confusion. This blue wire, just pretend this blue wire here is red, because here, let me see if I can see that, on the recurve it says remote in red. This is our remote in with this harness. Now this blue wire that we ran over to the amps, that's going to connect here to our remote out, and this is going to tell our amplifiers to turn on. This black wire here is going to connect here. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these two wires, separate them from this harness, and then run them over, let me see if I can see this, run them over to this side of the recurve. First I'm going to cut these wires here, so I'm going to leave myself about an extra foot just to be on the safe side. And I'm going to cut these, and I'm going to leave these a little bit longer because they're going to the other side. So I'm going to cut these over here, and just give me a little bit of extra length. Cut those. Alright guys, so here we're going to start with the plug and play wire harness. This is the harness that's coming from the head unit, and I put the gray and the white in the front hole, the green and the purple in the rear hole that I drilled out earlier. And then on this side we've got the yellow and the blue wire that are also part of the plug and play harness. And notice I put a piece of black tape on this blue wire here so it doesn't get confused with the wire running over to my amplifiers. Alright, so now I'm going to take my other two wires that are running from the amplifier, or from the other side of the vehicle. I'm going to feed them up through here, and then my RCAs. These are my RCA cables. Here it says F for front, R for rear, S for subwoofer. So I'm going to take these and feed these upward and plug them into the amp into the recurve immediately, so I don't get them mixed up. Alright guys, so as I mentioned earlier, I ran each RCA up through here one at a time to make sure I don't get them mixed up. I connected my front, my rear, and then my subwoofer to make sure they're correct. Alright, now I'm going to make my connections here and my connections here. These are really simple. We're just going to match the colors that are here. You can see at the top it says gray, white, so just follow these colors. Alright, so here you can see I've stripped 3 of the 4 wires so far. I've got my black, yellow, and blue. I'm going to start with this blue just to be sure we get that out of the way. This is the blue that's running over to my amplifier, so I'm going to put that here into the remote out. Alright, I'm going to slide this in here, then I'm going to take my screwdriver. Now I want to be sure I don't see any copper sticking out of here. Alright, so I'm going to perform the same steps for the yellow and the black. Alright, here you can see I've got the yellow, black, and blue plugged in. You can't see any copper. And I want to mention, be sure that your battery is disconnected, because if you let this yellow touch anything, it's going to pop your fuse. So during this whole process, we'll actually tell you when to plug your battery back in. This is my remote wire, or my remote in. It's blue. Here it says red, so I just want to clarify and be sure again, this is coming from the plug and play amp harness. I'm going to cut this here and then put it into plug it into the remote in. Right here you can see I've got all the extra wire pulled down underneath the amp rack. In this case the recurve rack. Everything's nice and tight, and I don't see any copper. You want to make sure there's no copper exposed. So now I'm going to switch over to the input, or the I'm going to switch over to the input side. Alright, so just like on the power side, you want to make sure to make good connections, and then also you want to double and triple check that you get your positive and your negative correct. And again, there's a color code, or a little color little legend here that tells you exactly what's going on, so you make sure you put them in order. So go ahead and plug these in. Alright, then go ahead and double check that your colors are all correct. Alright, so we've completed all our connections, pulled the extra wire down underneath the amp rack where you can't see it. It's all nice and neat. On both sides, you shouldn't really be able to see any of the wiring. I'm going to put the seat in. It'll do a great job of hiding everything. Alright, make sure all these knobs are all set straight up to 12 o'clock. Make sure that your subwoofer input knob is set towards the RCA cables over here. And we're ready to start the tuning process. So we're going to jump back over to the amps, to the amp side or the driver side of the vehicle, and we'll take you through the entire tuning process.